If you're anything like me, you love motorcycles. Some people just like riding them. I also enjoy working on them. And while I have a lot of knowledge left to gain, it never hurts to have the right tool for the job. This is the most used tool in the garage, and it's not even close. My Harbor Freight lift. In this video, I'm going to go over maintenance, issues I've had, and if I'd recommend it, and more. So for starters, hi, my name is Michael, and I strive to make entertaining, educational, and informative content here on YouTube. Since this is formatted as a review, I think it's important you understand a few things as far as credibility goes. I've had this lift for a few years now, around 3 if I had to guess, maybe closer to 4 now. There have been tons of motorcycles on this lift from 100 pounds to 1,000 pounds, sport bikes, cruisers, dirt bikes, and more. This lift has something on it 99% of the time, mostly motorcycles, although I have used it as a workbench for a few days here and there. I worked in a dealership for a few years, so I am familiar with other more high-end lifts, and that is taken into account in my opinion on this one. So let's get into it. First things first, issues and maintenance. Harbor Freight often gets a bad rep, and I see lots of people who say they'd never trust their bike on this lift. Truthfully, I've had one issue in the 4-ish years I've had it, which was my fault, and we'll get into that, as well as one complaint I do think could see improvement on Harbor Freight's end. The one mechanical issue I've had with this was the pump, and this failure happened after 2.5 years of ownership. The pump is the only thing I've ever heard of being an issue on one of these, but what not many people tell you is it's far more of a user error than anything else in my opinion. See, the lift comes with a solid metal bar that you can use to keep the load off the hydraulic cylinder. I had a very bad habit of not using it, and instead keeping the load on the cylinder. In my opinion, this is what caused the ruptured seal that ended up making the lift unusable for a bit. So if you have one of these, use the bar, and I doubt you'll have many issues at all. Again, even with my bad habits, it lasted over 2 years fine. You can order a replacement pump from Harbor Freight, just be aware that it does not come with oil. I was unaware of this, and installed it thinking it had oil in it. In my frustration, I ended up taking apart the old pump only to find the issue was an O-ring on the pushrod side of the pump, which I should have done sooner. Ended up using a 10-cent O-ring that I already had, and it's been working fine since. Now I keep the other pump as a spare. I also mentioned I did have one real gripe about the lift that I think is on Harbor Freight's end. The lift is painted diamond plate material, and for what it's worth, the coating is very, very durable. I have never repainted this lift, and I have spilled actual gallons of brake fluid on it over the years, combined with every other chemical I have. Not a single spot of rust anywhere on it. You can actually see some spots where brake fluid has eaten some of the, probably the clear coat off of the paint and some of the coloration, but other than that, it has not actually made it through the paint. The issue is on the ramp of the lift. This surface can be quite slippery. This means when backing the bike off the lift, the front wheel can lock easily and slide off, or in a few cases slide to one side, which may be enough to tip it over if you aren't ready. While a small and cheap fix to do yourself, and one I definitely need to get around to myself, I do think it should come that way, but obviously it isn't a huge deal, as I've used it daily for 3 to 4 years and not dropped a bike in this way. So what is my opinion of it? Like I said earlier, I've experienced professional grade lifts in a professional environment. I've also been lift shopping before. My conclusion is similar to toolboxes. If you're paying $2,000 to $3,000 for a lift, then you have a screw loose. The main annoyance on the Harbor Freight lift is the foot pumping, but you can just buy a $150 to $200 cylinder that has a pneumatic and manual capacity. The only other real advantage to a lot of the other lifts is width. If you're working on 4-wheelers, this may be a consideration. I just use a regular jack for those. This is advertised as just a motorcycle lift, so I do think it's a bit unfair to expect 4-wheeler capabilities on it. But with that said, I am confident you can modify it to accommodate a 4-wheeler for half the price of a high-end lift that comes that way. Another thing people do like about the more expensive lifts is the rear wheel cutout, but the cases for this are pretty specific, gold wings. And to negate this, you can just jack up the rear end a bit further instead, or not work on gold wings. I wholeheartedly recommend it, and I will go a step further to say to save the money and buy used. We're talking about a very simple piece of machinery here. There's hardly anything to break, and what can break is very easily repairable. Buy a used one for $300 or $400 at most, no more. Even if you insist on buying new, wait for it to go on sale and enjoy your $500 lift. Also, back to the box thing, I have a deep gripe about boxes, and I will absolutely be doing a Harbor Freight box review and rant about that stuff. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you get some perspective out of it, and if you were trying to use this video to help you make a decision, I hope it helped. Rubber side down, and I'll see you next time.